So I'm in like a dining room chair here. My office chair is just behind me, but I'll swap that out in a bit. So TOXICANT is a game I've been working on for a few years now, probably a year and a half of really solid development, and then I took a break to release a few smaller games. So Cosmic Ray, Brain Melter Deluxe, and now Super Rocket Ride. So smaller games that I'm trying to build and release in 3-4 months, and doing pretty well with that. I mean, they were all a little bit over 3, but pretty much 3 months of development and then a month or so of kind of marketing and taking a bit of a break in between. And the reason I did that is because it's a very ambitious project, and I'm working mostly on my own. So I don't like going too long without releasing something. Like it was kind of looking like it was going to be 2 or 3 years, and that's just a bit too long. Like I want more practice releasing and marketing and all that stuff. So that said, I'll be going back to TOXICANT in hopefully a month or two. So I've been brainstorming a bit on where I want to take it, and doing a little bit of prototyping the past couple of days, just getting ready for picking it back up. I want to make sure I can really dive in and have some specific ideas to really see it through. Well, first to early access, and I want to go to early access like quickly as soon as I pick it back up, because it is pretty far along, and I think there's enough there that's kind of compelling for players to check it out and share their feedback and really help shape the final sort of experience. So we'll take a look at it in its current state, and then we'll look a bit at what I've been working on lately. And I might not do a full 2 hours today. I'm feeling a bit off. So if I kind of ramble or mumble sort of off into oblivion, just poke me in the chat or whatever. And thanks for the host as always, Ricardo. And Ricardo actually contributed some assets to this game as well, and some ideas. So we'll take a look at the current version, and we'll take a look at what I've been up to. And in the background, by the way, we've got I appreciate it as always, and I need to remember as well. I want to bring up the chat whenever people are saying things, just because if I end up clipping stuff to YouTube, you don't get the chat, so it's kind of confusing to have me just randomly saying things. Although that may happen without the chat too. But yeah, so the music in the background, if you're curious, is some actually you'll hear in Undermine, actually TOXICANT now. It was originally called Undermine, but there was a game in development around the same time, and they've since released. It looks pretty cool, actually. Some similar ideas, but totally different. And that's, by the way, that Autumn Sale pixel art. I don't use the word epic often, but that's really, really good. I'm sad they don't have the artist listed here. Maybe there were a few people that worked on it. So yeah, so these guys, we were both developing at the same time. They ended up releasing first, and doing quite well. Kind of similar, like, so TOXICANT is, I would call it a roguelite survival horror, kind of going for Splunky crossed with like Outlast or whatever. So I want to have segments where you have to run away from mutants, and then sort of hide, and then explore and find stuff, and slowly progress. But the idea is, with Splunky as well, very short playtime, so you potentially beat it in whatever 50. We'll see what the final time is, but like 15 minutes or whatever. But it probably takes you 10, 20, 30, whatever tries to understand how everything works, and understand how the levels are generated, and how to interact with the world before you actually beat it. Like if you look at the Splunky speedruns, they're like fucking 2 minutes or something ridiculous like that. But it took me years to actually beat it once. So tough to balance that kind of difficulty, of course, and that'll be a lot of what early access is about. But yeah, so this looks pretty cool, but unfortunately they beat us to it, and they've got a much more sort of weight behind behind their games. So I offered or agreed to rename, and I chose TOXICANT, which is similar in that there's kind of a little bit of a pun there, and works well with the environment and all the kind of glowing green stuff going on and all that. So, but yeah, the music in the background, if you're curious, is from this ambient music pack that I put together about a year ago with a couple other guys, and some of the music in that as well is in TOXICANT too. So we'll take a look. I've got the TOXICANT project open here, and I've also got a sandbox project where I'm just playing around here. So I'll show you a level from the current game. So yeah, all procedural. This is sort of iteration, I'll say 2, but it's probably like 20 of the generation logic. And I'm gonna see if I can get my chair here, one sec. That's better. Yeah, I was sitting on a wooden chair because my cat stole my office chair. He sometimes just gets kind of angry if I'm on it and really wants it. Alright. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't... Make sure we're not profiling here. I haven't tried any heavy games on the stream, so this is a little bit heavy. We'll see. So the backstory is you are like a hobbyist climber, and you're going out for a climb one day, and you find an entrance to a mine, and you kind of poke around, and you end up falling down a mine shaft into this freaky abandoned mine where there's been some crazy shit going on, basically. So hence the sort of stressed state that we start with immediately. And I really want to just throw players... I'm just going to put the sound down here a little bit. What's the best way to do that? Bear with me here. Nope. They seem to make this more and more cryptic with every version of Windows. It's like I just want the volume... It's like they've completely gotten rid of the... There used to be like a little volume bar down here. There we go. Alright, so bring that down. Bring that one down. Right, so the idea is you gotta find your way around. Lots of crazy shit coming at you. You gotta figure out kind of how... They all have a kind of behavior, right, that isn't really explained, but can be observed. So you start off with these... Yeah, like right here, for example. There's smoke in the room. I'm coughing. Eventually I start taking damage. So things like that you kind of have to figure out for yourself. There's effects on things that... like status effects on things that you find. So like, for example, these guys are blind. But they can hear. And they will attack pretty aggressively if they hear you. So if you run, and you can see the sound indicator on the right, if you run, it'll do a really big chunk of damage to you. And there's like navigational items like compass, maps, that help you find your way around. So for example, I just found the map, and now I can get a little bit more of an idea of where I'm going. And then as you progress, there's different variants of those mutants. So obviously ones that can see, but also ones with a toxic effect. And that's one thing I hope to expand in Oh, cat's back. I've been experimenting with streaming my iPhone camera to my PC, and then I could give you a cat cam, but not today. He's just kind of staring at me. There you go. So pretty easy to die right now. Now he's gonna see if we can get him in the shot here if he wants to cooperate. This big mic in the way doesn't really help. It's kind of like a barrier between me and him. And I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so the enemies kind of progress as you go, especially the main ones. The mutants become more challenging as you go. But the biggest thing right now, and let's see if we can get a view of this if I play this again. Oh yeah, it's worth mentioning as well. This used to be, I guess you'd call it HD. I wouldn't call it necessarily HD. Like, it wasn't like 4K textures or anything. It wasn't a couple spots, but dude. Just kind of walking around in circles here. But yeah, it was more sort of high definition in the original. And what we've done, or what I've done since, is give it a kind of retro, but not super retro, not like super low poly, so still decent poly count, but the kind of point sampled sort of Doom-esque kind of textures as you probably saw there. Let's see if we can get a view of this. Because of the way things are called, we might not get a great view. No, but you can kind of see from the map. The levels are generated in basically a single floor. So they're basically flat. And one thing I want to do with, hopefully for early access, is explore multi-floor levels and just see kind of how that might work. There's a climbing mechanic that's in the game but not really used right now. And so instead what you need to do is you need to find ropes, and then once you find a rope in the current level, you basically just interact with this and it will take you to the next level. But it feels very linear and kind of like each level is just sort of its own thing, which is similar to Splunky, but not great for immersion. So I do want to keep these flooded type areas though. Actually, I want to have more of them. Alright, so it's a quick rundown of the current version. And I've had a page on Steam for a while now, and I've just unfortunately been kind of bumping the release date, but I really do want to have something at least early access in 2020, and I'm thinking like as soon as I get back to this, end of December, early January, I'm just going to throw the current build up on itch. So same thing I'm doing with Super Rocket Ride that I want to try for pretty much all games going forward, is do like a soft launch or early access on itch for people who want to check it out early. And then of course, patrons will get early access like pretty much from the very start of any new project, and then polish it and refine it, and then maybe a second sort of more official early access on Steam, and then full release on Steam. So yeah, these are new screenshots-ish, and you can see some of the lo-fi, but still with, you know, particles and post-processing and some volumetric lights and stuff. So a lot of ambience, but still kind of gritty, which I think suits it well. And then the trailer here is it up? Yeah. Old. But you can see kind of we're going for a little more fidelity. This was like the first and only trailer, I think. A couple years old now. In fact, I think this is using the old level generation. So version 1 of the level generation was based on, I think, like 1x1 tiles maybe, so very, very granular, which just wasn't working. I mean, it was interesting. You'd get some more organic kind of layouts, but just trying to optimize that was challenging because everything was just like, it's, you know, almost like voxels in a way, which, and of course the kind of blocky look as well, which, you know, even though I'm going kind of retro, I think that's a bit too retro for this. I still want, you know, things that look like things and not just cubes. So version 2 is more module based, but again, a single floor at a time. And here he comes again. He really wants some attention, but yeah, buddy, I can't really do much here. Sorry. All right, so let's look at what I've been up to. So I've got this in a separate project, just so I can really break things and mess around and not worry too much. Because if I tried to integrate this into the current procedural generation, it would be pretty invasive. So I want to kind of get this right, play around, and then once it's feeling right, then look at integrating it into the main code base. The other thing I'm doing as well, and I'd started doing this with the previous iteration, but trying to do it more and more. Oh yeah, I should mention as well, the sort of unofficially, so my main project at this time is now available to buy on itch for $3.99 Canadian, so that'd be like $2.99 or so US. And we'll keep it on here as we keep adding more and more levels. There's currently 24. And this is sort of retro, hardcore action kind of stuff. Right, so sort of like Lunar Lander meets Mario or whatever. So I haven't really publicized that yet because it's kind of just a soft launch for now. But we'll start advertising more and more, and yeah, I always appreciate the shout outs and whatnot. So yeah, we'll be adding more levels, hopefully some kind of a boss level type thing, an intro story, and just all the usual trimmings. But yeah, so one of the things I've been doing, and you can see my secondary goal, is I've been working on a workflow to go between ProBuilder, which is a plugin for Unity, or I guess a package for Unity now. It used to be an asset. And actually, one I've supported for years. Actually, I bought it, and then they integrated it into Unity, so a bit disappointing, but it was still, I mean, I got my money's worth. But it allows you to do basic modeling directly within Unity, so really great for prototyping. But you know, anything beyond these kind of simple shapes becomes very, very challenging to do. You know, not only because of how they're limited in terms of integrating with Unity, right? Because they're kind of intercepting things that you would do in Unity and saying, oh, well, now in this scenario it behaves like this. But you know, if you have a bunch of these ProBuilder objects, you know, there's just stuff like selecting becomes difficult because in Unity, see, I can just select like that. There's no, you know, versus Blender, that's not a thing. You can't be in face select and pick different objects. I can't do stuff like hide faces. I can hide objects, but I got to click on the object, I got to hide it. And then if I forget about that, you know, I end up committing a broken scene. So a lot of things that are error prone or you just can't do easily. So I've been working on a workflow where I do the kind of gray boxing, the very crude gray boxing in ProBuilder, export that, and then work on it in Blender, and then bring it back in. And I had some issues in the past, partially because of bugs with the ProBuilder export, and partially because of just lack of Blender knowledge. So it turns out the issues I was having with the export were easily fixed in Blender. I just didn't really know how at the time. So I know a lot more about Blender, and they've done a lot of UI improvements as well in 2.8, so it's really starting to click for me for the most part. And yeah, as I mentioned, I'm a little bit under the weather, so might not do a full 2 hours, and I'm gonna have to drink a lot more than usual. Gotta stay hydrated. All right, so what I've been up to here is I've rebuilt very similar modules, and maybe we'll take a look at those in isolation first, and then we'll look at the full scene. So these are quite similar to the modules in the current version, but they're built in Blender now. And oh yeah, I should mention now, I'm really happy that they've officially released Blender 2.8, and now the integration with Unity works correctly. Because it wasn't possible to install the beta, it seemed like the integration just wouldn't work. So like Unity is looking for an installed version of Blender when it does its import, and so it would always fall back to 7.9 or whatever. But yeah, I'm really liking the work they've done on the UI. And some of the stuff, I don't know if it's 2.7.9 or if it's 2.8, but just everything clicks a lot better for me. There's lots of, feedback about, oh, you're doing this thing now, so you can press this, or, and I think this was something in 2.7.9 as well, but, it's kind of a good companion piece to everything else is, oh, you want to do something, just search for it here. Little things like that. Oh, you want to do something, just right click. So it's still complex as fuck, of course, being, full featured modeling, animation, compositing, scripting, blah, blah, blah. But as I, understand basic concepts through ProBuilder, and then, learn the equivalent in Blender, it really starts to make sense, because ProBuilder is much more simplistic. So it's like, oh, just, make the face bigger, and things like that. Very simple concepts that really are the same concepts in pretty much every software. But that was a good kind of foray into modeling with ProBuilder, and now it really starting to click. So, and Ricardo says, yeah, it does everything. Yeah, I think they're taking the game engine out, which is probably for the best, especially with that the Unreal grant they got or whatever. Or what is it called? The Epic blah, 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 something. Anyway, that's really good for Unreal. What's it called? Yeah. So hopefully they keep, hopefully that doesn't affect like the Unity integration or anything. I doubt it. That would be pretty douchey if they did that. Like somehow locked it down. Oh, you have to use it with Unreal. But otherwise, yeah, really good for them. Okay, so we'll take a look at these in isolation. So we've got a basic type of room here. And so it's like, what, 14 by 14 by 4 with some connector tunnels or hallways. And in the actual game, these hallways get like blocked, or they're added, I think, dynamically after the fact. But just for ease of prototyping here, I've just baked them in, and I don't worry about putting like end caps or anything on them. Then we've got a large, I should say, so this ends up being like 32 by 32 by 4. This is similar, except it's 22 by 22 in here. So basically small room, big room. Then we've got big room. Is that a big room? Oh, that's an old one. There we go. So big room with these little caps here that you can disable. So one in the bottom and one in the top, right there. And so these will be the main way to get between floors. So where today there's like an exit room, it just has a hole that you interact with, and you say, oh, I have the rope, click, done, and it loads the next level. Rather than having something like that, I will have, and I'll show you in a second here, I haven't done this in Blender yet, it's just being done in ProBuilder. I have a kind of sloped wall that you'll be able to climb up. And the idea is you'll get the rope, and then you'll basically use the rope to, say throw it up or whatever, connect it to that, and allow you to climb that wall. The nice thing is with the default first-person controller in Unity it's super glitchy, so I can basically just jump up sloped walls. So kind of cheese it a bit just for testing this out. But in the actual game, that'll be something that you need to find and then use. And then I'll also add sliding, so you can, if you've gone up a level, you can slide down that sloped wall, or perhaps climb down it as well. Put that music back since we're... There we go. So yeah, music from the ambient music pack from me, JFS, and GoTo. And yeah, some of this music you'll hear in TOXICANT as well. And if I accidentally say Undermine, I apologize, but that was 2 years of calling it Undermine. And then we've got, not really related to the multi-floor prototyping as much, but it will tie into climbing, is these rooms with like basements kind of thing. And what I'll do is I'll have a platform probably in the middle that either you can jump onto and then across, and I'll show you in a second. And then if you end up falling down, you'll have to climb up it, perhaps using a rope in the process. And maybe do like the classic Doom where it's in the ground and you have to jump into the pit and find a switch, and then it will raise that, and then you can climb it, or maybe it's an elevator or something to get you back out of that room. And then these could also be flooded as well, and these will be much better than the current flooded rooms. We have something like this in the current version, but it's rather than being a dedicated room, it's like a point of interest prefab is what I call them. So basically every room is just empty by default, and then we spawn point of interest prefabs, and one of them is a kind of basement sort of thing that you can go into that is optionally flooded. But I think building it as a room type makes a lot more sense, because then I can have more, well, first of all, more real estate to do stuff with, right? And then it's also more of a recognizable kind of pattern, to have these, say, 5 or 6 main room types rather than like the 2 or 3 that are there now. Okay, so I think it's just the 4. So let's take a look. And this is just my general sandbox project, so it's kind of a mess. It's got a bunch of different stuff. You can see different Operation Hardcore experiments and random, like, trying out Anima 2D and Bean Scene. Good old Bean Scene. Blood.unity. Perfect. Alright, so I might not actually get to the procedural part today. I'm more sort of prototyping. Here you go. So just hand-crafted sort of thing. So floor number 1. Got a small room, got a big room, and one of the things I want to do with big rooms is have like these, I guess, sort of shipping containers, which doesn't really make sense in a mine, but maybe like power boxes or storage units or something that will create more opportunity for evading the mutants. Basically, they follow a path, so they might just say go like here to here to here to here to here, whatever, and you'd have to kind of sneak between them or whatever. And then I also hope to have some bigger rooms that have these with stuff on top of them, and like a little ramp going up and then a ramp going across, and maybe one that breaks. So like have items up there or whatever. Here's one of the basement rooms with a platform in the middle. And again, because of the kind of glitchiness of the default first-person controller, I can actually just jump up that, which is perfect because it kind of simulates the climbing action, just crudely. And now we've got the room with a hole. It's like a room with a view, but way shittier because you just fall through the floor. And then we've got this ramp, again, that I can climb right now by cheesing it. And then we go up to the next floor, and then just kind of rinse and repeat, but slightly different layout. I've got 3 floors right now. So let's check that out. And my thinking is the rooms with holes and ramps will be on the along the exterior edges of the map, if that makes sense. So that I can do this basically like it's just blocked. There's no, it's just a solid wall along the back here, if that makes sense. Right? right? Because otherwise, if I had one here, for example, like going this way, that would make the generation a lot more complicated. I need to be aware of, like, oh, is there a wall here? Then, you know, I can't connect these rooms, for example. And I mean, I may end up doing something like that in the end, but just for this version 1 of the version 3, they'll stay on the outside walls. Now I'll cheese it. Alright, and then we should have another one somewhere. There we go. And so I think that'll be kind of cool. Like the first, it's much more kind of dramatic than the current, like just a little hole with light coming through it. And I'll still have like, there'll be some lights up there and stuff to kind of give it some, you know, mystique or whatever. But you'll find the first one, you'll be like, oh, you'll probably jump a bit and then slide down and be like, oh, I'll have some debris and stuff down here. And then you'll have to go looking for the rope. And, you know, maybe it's on top of one of these things, or maybe it's down in, this will do some nice healthy fall damage if you don't do a proper slide. Where's one of those basement rooms? Alright, so let's say the rope is down. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, right? So you could jump, perhaps, jump across. And then maybe in some, this is like down, and you gotta find a switch. Or maybe you accidentally fall, or who knows what. Find the rope down here, climb up. And then we'll go back to our thing here, and then we'd have some, like, we'd interact with it or whatever, and then it would position the rope. And then we could climb it. So that's the idea. There will, of course, be a bunch of optimization stuff I need to consider in doing this. It's all currently based on, as I mentioned, a single floor. So light culling will become more important and more complex. Yeah, so that's the idea. And then I'm thinking, as far as your map is concerned, sorry, I never watched the chat closely enough. Being seen, someone on like the indie dev Slack that I'm in was just experimenting with something involving coffee beans and physics. So I just did a quick little test, just out of curiosity to see what was involved. Not actually that interesting. So yeah, as far as the minimap goes, probably what I'll do is it'll only apply to the current floor. So as you explore the current floor, it will fill in your map. If you find the map pickup, it will populate the current floor. And then when you reach the next floor, you have to start over again, either find the map or fill it in yourself by exploring.